Hi everyone, this is Sean McNallis, and I'm going to spend a few minutes with you talking about the latest in our exit strategy sessions, in which we discussed exploring the value drivers in your firm. We spent a few minutes in the DYM workday talking about what we've covered so far, and it looks something like this. We spent the first session creating the vision. Today we're going to talk about maximizing your assets. We'll go on to talking about whether or not it's a good idea for you to find a successor or to find a buyer. And we'll eventually help you to create your roadmap to bring it all together. Many of you, when you saw the options in the first program, were unclear as to whether or not, or as to what path you should take. We gave you a variety of options, though there are some variations even on this variety. Your choices are basically, you can sell your practice in most states that allow it. You can hire a successor and transition your practice internally. You can walk away and close the doors. This is an option we don't especially encourage our clients to take advantage of if there's value to be had in their firm. Another way to go is to take your book of business and transfer it to another attorney. So in this way you transfer your clients, usually for a referral fee. Another interesting route to take is merging with another firm. This is where a firm is attracted to your firm because of your client base and because of your expertise, and a merger is arranged. Then you go on to exit the combined firm, usually using the benefit package that they may have in place. Lots of variations on that. And then there's a couple of variations to becoming of counsel, either to a firm you've sold, a firm you are succeeding, or a firm you've transferred clients to. So lots of different options. And this just more or less repeats those with the addition of this act as CEO and hire a manager. This is another interesting option that a lot of clients are considering. This is where you retire from the things that you don't want to be doing. You retain the kinds of activities in managing the firm that you like to do, but you bring somebody in to really manage, handle the HR, do a lot of the other work that you really don't care to do. And why this is interesting is that you can extend your career longer by doing this, and this is valuable in case you don't want to sell for whatever reason, or you can't sell, or you can't find a successor. So something we'll be talking more about in the future. So what's your timeline? Are you 10 years out? Are you 20 years out? Are you even further out? We had you do an exercise in the first session where you literally established a timeline. Now this is not cast in stone, but we'd like you to think ahead. What year will it be when you begin your transition? What year will it be when you start searching for a buyer? What year will it be when you start trying to hire a successor? In all these scenarios, you need to give yourself lots of time. Finding a successor takes time to find the first one, and when he or she doesn't work out, it takes time to find the second and the third one. So it can be a long and involved process, as can selling your practice. Can be several years before you find a buyer who is really qualified and has all the personality traits and the work ethic that you do. So this timeline was given to you a while ago. You don't need to use this particular form. You just need to really contemplate what works best for you. We spent a little time debriefing the team in the session, and we heard what people have accomplished so far. For some people, they've talked to partners. For some people, they've sketched out plans. For other people, they're still contemplating their financial picture, trying to decide what influence that's going to have on their retirement. And of course, it's going to have a huge impact. So this literally was a section in which we spent a little time discussing retirement and all of its implications. On this slide, we give you a breakdown of all of the different elements that will go into your post-retirement income. Social Security will be the smallest part of it. Your post-transition income, should you decide to work after your transition, whether or not that's in an of-counsel role, you know, working with the firm that you've sold or the firm that you've transitioned, you know, that will make a significant difference how long you decide to work after your transition or after your retirement. The sale of your firm or a buyout by a successor, again, could be a great part of your retirement income. It won't make up the entire thing. You really need to be depending on your law firm retirement plan. Make sure that you're maxing that out. And most importantly, your personal savings and investments. So what we're talking about now is the sale of your firm or possible buyout by a successor. And in that vein, we want to discuss how to get the maximum amount of value for your firm. If you think about packaging a home for sale, you would decide who you're going to package it for, and then you take a look at the different rooms in the house and you decide how much money, time, and effort you're going to spend fixing up those various different aspects. For example, if you decide to remodel the kitchen entirely, statistics show that you'll get a 90–95% return on your time, money, and efforts for doing that. If you decide to sink a lot of money into the garage, fixing up the garage, you will not get nearly as much a return on investment. So we're going to apply this same sort of theory to your firm. There's aspects of your firm that a business valuator is going to look at that will yield you the most return on your investment of time, money, and energy. Because you want to package your firm to be able to sell for the maximum amount, or to appeal to a successor, or to attract a merger. There's firms out there that are evaluating other smaller firms that they'd like to acquire, and you'd like to perhaps be attracted to one of those firms. So let's dive down and talk a little bit about some of these elements that drive the value in your practice. One of the first and most important is recurring business. You know, recurring business is at the heart of what most people will call goodwill in your community. It includes the firm reputation, but measuring something that is as elusive as goodwill is difficult, while determining whether or not clients come back with additional work for you or because you've got them in an ongoing lifetime client model perhaps, or, that's measurable. It's also measurable what your degree of client referrals is. Are your clients referring other clients and it makes up 30% of your referrals? Does it make up 50% of your referrals? There's metrics that go along with each of these value drivers that is important to note, and we're going to be talking about them down the road. Let's talk now about transferability. Transferability applies to most of you, and it's something that a business valuator takes a look at. This measures how replaceable you are in the eyes of your referral sources. So if your firm is very founder dependent and your referral sources are used to dealing only with you and not other people in your firm, if your referral sources believe that your expertise is very rare and is not easily replaced, you will not be very transferable. The rapport in your practice with referral sources will not be very transferable. It becomes even more difficult if you can't find a buyer or a successor who inspires trust and confidence in the way that you do. So there's two takeaways with regard to transferability. Number one, you want to work on shifting away from being founder dependent. Much has been said in the DYM about this particular topic. Number two, if you hire a successor or decide to sell, you want to make sure that the person you either that is succeeding you or that you have sold to inspires the same kind of trust and confidence that you do. The next type of value driver that we're going to talk about is the type of practice. Not all practices are created equally. All of you know that. But the demand for services in your market can change with a couple of different factors. You want to check out what the forecasted future demand is for your practice area and in your geographical area. Do you foresee it trending up or trending down? How saturated is your particular geographical market? How saturated is it with competitors? Very important. It's important because a buyer will be very aware that the market is saturated with competitors for your kind of practice, and that will make it less appealing. You also want to take a look at, will future changes in the law negatively affect your practice area? Something you want to keep in mind. Let's talk for a minute about your marketing and your brand. You want to have a marketing system that continually builds brand recognition and top-of-mind awareness. You want to have one that can demonstrate that it consistently delivers a great number of clients to your door on a regular basis. You really want to have a roster of referral sources that you have good relationship with. You want to have a good internet presence, and you want to have a good and very high profile in the community. These are the things that go into making up your particular brand. Let's look now at our second set of value drivers, systems. A buyer or a successor is going to be very interested in getting into a practice in which systems have been the driving force, and it's systems driven, not personality driven. So if your practice is vulnerable because your team members have all of their systems and systematic approaches in their minds and not captured and put on paper in the form of checklists and teaching tools, as well as tools that you use to direct the sequence of events in every kind of file that you have. If you lack that, your practice is going to be automatically downgraded. So working on your systems will benefit you, by the way, in the short run, as many of you are dedicated to working on anyway, but it really benefits you in the long run as well. The same goes with technology. If you have state-of-the-art technology and it's truly enhancing your team's productivity, you will be more highly ranked by a business valuator, and a buyer or a successor won't have to worry about immediately coming in and updating the technology if you've got state-of-the-art. Let's look at intellectual property. If you've managed to develop a proprietary process that is related to your practice area, it will make your firm, your whole system, more appealing to a buyer or a successor. It increases your brand in a great way and really drives the value up. Tangible assets. A law firm is mostly a service business and is not really one that has a great many tangible assets of high value. Now, you may or may not own your own building, but you know, where your office is located may have value and may make it more appealing, even if it's just a lease situation if a buyer is going to, for example, take over your lease and continue to operate in your same location. I mentioned before you really want to make your firm as appealing as possible to future buyers. And really what the majority of them are looking for is the greatest ROI. They are investors. They want the smallest investment of time and effort with the greatest return. We can break that down further and look at the difference between financial buyers and strategic buyers. Financial buyers, the first thing to know about these folks, there are more of them. They really are motivated by finance. They're looking for positive cash flow right away, a strong return on investment. They bid low and they're always looking for a deal. Just know that when you're dealing with various different buyers in the marketplace. Strategic buyers, they may be buying your business for the intellectual property, for the database, because they want to avoid the startup hassles. They have an eye to future cash flow. They bid a little higher and they're looking for an investment. This all sounds great, but I will say there are more financial buyers out there than there are the strategic buyers. So let's talk in a little bit more detail about how you define recurring revenue. The classic definition is one that Steve Riley has been talking with most of you about for a long time. That's something he calls the lifetime client model. This is where, similar to his corporate counsel, something that he's done, you offer a prepackaged long-term kind of a service, like an extended service that clients pay for over time. So it operates a little bit like a subscription service if you were going to compare it to the retail world. But it's basically a way of creating value, extra value for the client in the form of check-ins and updates and yearly meetings or even monthly or quarterly meetings on something that is not static. Each practice area will have to figure out how they do their own version of the lifetime client model. It's challenging, can be challenging, but it is doable. So this is the classic definition of recurring revenue. Additional revenue, and revenue that can be somewhat predictable and will count in evaluation process, though not as much as the lifetime client model, is the cross-sell model and the client referral model. In the cross-sell model, you would offer, say, both estate planning services and elder law services, two very complementary practice areas that can be cross-sold to clients. And your main job there is letting clients know what you offer in the other practice area so that their future needs can be taken care of without them needing to go to another firm. That's the cross-sell model. The client referral model happens when, because you offer excellent client care and a lot of value, your clients are one of your biggest referral sources. They send you a great many client referrals. This is very easy to track. You just look to see what percentage of your overall referrals are coming from past and existing clients. That's the client referral model. Can be tracked. It will count in evaluation scenario. Again, not as valuable as the lifetime client model. Let's take a look at the value driver score sheet. The score sheet that you may have is a more vertically oriented, slightly different form, but it's basically the same. It lists, going down the left-hand side, the value drivers, starting with recurring business, going into demand, looking at your marketing and so forth. It has all 8 of the value drivers on it. It then allows you to rank yourself on a score of 1 to 10. 10 being that you have really worked on this area and you've driven the value as high as possible in this particular category. So the task before you is to rank yourself among all these value drivers and then ask yourself, what's one thing you can do to improve this particular area? The form you have has this area for improvement. In the course, we had the participants write out what they could improve in each of these different areas, then pick an area that they would focus on for the next 90 days. So that really concludes the exit strategy part 2, in which we explore driving the value up on your present practice. If you're interested in having this form, please email Mike at Atticus Online, and he's available to answer any of your questions on this as well. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next workday. Bye-bye.